Hello and welcome to Grief Talks with Zen I'm Zen and in this episode I want us to focus on a different kind of grief and loss, one that affects countless numbers of people every single day. I'm talking about Alzheimer's and dementia. After being released from a huge hug, this sweet lady looked at me intently and whispered, "It was so nice of you to come by and see me. Please introduce yourself to me again when you come back next week, because I know I won't remember you." The joy and sadness that reflected in her eyes literally crushed my heart as I watched her struggle with her memory loss and her ability to remember those around her that have loved and cared about her. She is a shell of who she once was, and she exists within a small apartment, trapped within a mind that she feels has betrayed her. For those of you who have experienced the devastation of Alzheimer's disease or any other form of the disease, you will be able to relate to the fears and frustrations that are sure to develop alongside this dreaded illness. For her, she talks candidly about the woman she used to be. She describes a simple farm girl that wound up marrying a wonderful man who pampered and spoiled her. She talks about his death, the unexpected and tragic death of several of her children, and then she talks about how her grief was heightened when she began to lose one of the most important parts of herself, her memory. The grief is evident. The depression rolls across the lines of her face, and she weeps about all that she has lost. A book sits beside her, untouched. Quote, "Because I know I love to read, but if I am really enjoying a chapter and then set it down and come back to it later, I haven't a clue what is going on." Her apartment holds a few treasured mementos from her life. Pictures line the walls, and at this point she is still able to identify the smiling faces looking back at her from those frames. She understands that this too will fade over time, and the thought of that creates an overwhelming sense of anxiety and loss. What many have come to understand when dealing with this disease is that it robs you. It is terrifying to wake up one day and realize that you don't remember the day before or the person who has just walked into your room. As caregivers, it is difficult to watch our loved ones struggle to hold on to their memories and their sense of self. When they become aware that their memory is fading, they attempt to grapple with the idea that soon they will lose everything that is dear to them and that their loved ones can only sit by and watch it all happen. Feelings of guilt, loss, anger, sadness, and the idea of, quote, being a burden run through their minds, and caregivers struggle to stay positive and hopeful while coming to terms with an illness that is hard to understand. One of the most important things to remember is that even though memory is fading and a loved one or friend appears to be slipping away from you, there is still a person within that skin, a human being that craves presence, a touch on the hand, a card, or a kind word. Yes, they may not know who you are or remember the fact that you were there yesterday, but having contact with others can lift their spirits in ways that will erase sadness from the eyes and light up a face for miles. Remembering is the act of recalling information or reliving old stories. Remembering is also an opportunity for us to take some time for reflection, to recognize that there are those who feel trapped inside their own skins, lost or locked away behind closed doors. Finding ways to reach out to them and to the caregivers that lovingly tend to them daily is the challenge that we must face head on, because in doing so, we will create new memories for ourselves, memories of being loving and gentle towards those who need our kindness. That is the kind of memory that touches lives and will comfort our hearts forever. Thank you for tuning into this very special episode, and I look forward to seeing you around the corner of another beautiful moment.